Problem of the day. A few weeks ago, I posted a chess in public video playing people in the streets, and if they beat me at chess, they would win $100. Now, in the first game of that video, there is somebody who said, a few hundred years ago, I'll just play the clip, you know what? So apparently, this guy's grandfather was a chess grandmaster. Was this all true? I was a little bit doubtful. So after filming that day, I researched the word Langleben chess in Google, and sure enough, came about a Polish chess master by the name of Salomon Langleben. And I was stuffing my nose through some of these games that this master played, and one caught my eye. And this is the greatest game I have seen potentially in my entire life, and nobody knows this guy. Who is Salomon Langleben? Apparently, this guy was like the best of his time. He played alongside his contemporaries, who were Simon Alapin, Akiba Rubinstein, one of the best of his generation, Efim Bogoljubow, who went on to be the finalist to the World Chess Championship. He played amongst the legends. He was in the pool of the best in the world at his time. The 1912s, 20s was when he was really peaked. This guy was born in Poland, lived in the US for a lot of time, and then went back to Poland for the end of his life. The guy I played today was from Montreal, so somewhere along the bloodline, the guy's family must have moved back to Canada this time to extend the family. So, how good is this game that I'm about to show you? Salomon Langleben played this game in Buffalo, New York against somebody who I think was also reputable in Buffalo. Their name is Eugene Sobernheim. I don't know this person as well, but this game is so good. It's up there with the Adolf Andersson's, the GOAT games, because it has all the elements that make a game a 9.8 out of 10 or above. It's just a crazy game. So I invite you to come with me and explore this beautiful game, this crazy game that captured my heart and really made me gain respect for this guy who, in the Chess in Public video, did pretty bad in our game. You can check that out later. In this game, Salomon Langleben has the black pieces against his opponent Eugene Sobernheim. The game starts off with e4, e6. This is known as the French defense, a defense that I have a really bad score against with the white pieces, but we'll talk about that for another time. d4, d5, and now knight c3. Now this is called the classical variation, I believe. I don't play this, so I don't know much about it, but this is how it continues. Black thrusts some pressure on the center with knight f6, bishop g5 pinning this knight and threatening potentially e5 to attack the knight that is already pinned. Bishop e7 to take off this pin, and now takes e5, gain of tempo on this bishop, forcing this bishop to move, and now white has another move here, queen g4, a very aggressive move attacking the pawn on g7. Now, the black pieces have a really thorough approach to this move. You could do g6 and kind of weaken your side and all these black squares that come against it, and it's not very favorable to castle on that weakened side. Instead, Langleben plays castles here. Castling, and on that move, you defend the g7 pawn. Two birds with one stone. Bishop d3, and already here we're seeing that the white pieces have some nice things coming along, right? Potentially a nice attack coming here. But this is where Langleben starts his magic. First of all, he plays f5, cutting this bishop's avenue onto h7 and attacking this queen. Now, there could be an en passant here, but after bishop takes, I don't know. e5 is threatened with attacks on this queen, and maybe white thought this was uncomfortable. So the queen moves, and now this pawn structure is stone wall tough. The wall of Berlin, for real. And now c5 is played. c5 attacks the structure, and again, puts some pressure on the white pieces. We don't know exactly what's going on. 2 moves ago, the white pieces looked really nice with a ton of space and some really active pieces, good development overall. But after 2 moves later, the black pieces look right back into this game. Attacking this d4 pawn, now white takes. And again, taking another tempo from white not developing their last minor piece and castling, getting their king safe. Langleben replies with knight d7, attacking the c5 pawn a second time, and most importantly, attacking this e5 pawn, a center pawn and the heart of the white pieces and the white pieces' space here. So white, wanting to defend their much superior pawn, plays f4, potentially weakening this diagonal here. And now knight takes c5, attacking this bishop kind of on tempo. This bishop that was once very valuable, but now I'm kind of second guessing it because our pawn structure is taking away from these light squares and this bishop is kind of passive. So here, castles on tempo. Good move by the white pieces, getting their king safe. Though now it's Langleben's initiative. What is an initiative? It's that power, that time to attack. It is our move and they just castled. So what does Langleben do? A beautiful move, b5. Sacrificing a pawn, and this is a pretty common pattern in chess. You want to sacrifice a pawn when attacking an opposing king. The theme of this game is we have opposite castled kings, and we both want to attack each other. The white pieces will thrust a g4 push, and the black pieces will thrust these pawns, try to open up files, and get all kinds of nasty things against this king. Now, having the initiative when attacking the opponent's king is king. You want that. So we keep this initiative with b5, threatening b4, attacking a knight, and potentially sacrificing a pawn so that when bishop takes, and threatening b4 so that when bishop takes, we have opened successfully this b file, and now we can start to impose threats. Here we play rook b8, attacking this bishop, and much more behind it is the b2 pawn. This is the real heart of the white pieces that we want to attack. And here after knight f3, we go a6, securing the opening of the b file so that after the bishop moves, now we can start to impose threats. And we play queen b6, attacking this b2 pawn and threatening some really, really nice things. If the queen were to be able to take on b2, it's very winning. Like, we are attacking the king goes to the center, and overall, it's just completely winning materialistically and positionally. So b3 is made to defend against a threat, but we have talked about this weakness before. Right earlier in the game, the black pieces had the opportunity to play g6 to defend this same kind of attack, but we played castles here and defended effectively. At this point, the white pieces don't have the choice to play king b1 here, put the king in front of the pawn, because it's checkmate. You don't want to do that. So instead, the white pieces are kind of forced, unless they want to give up this b2 pawn with check, to play b3. Now, all the dark squares are weakened, and we'll see why that's such a big factor. Black continues this initiative and tempo gain with, I want you to find this move. Try to pause the video. I want you to find every move from now on because it's really, really nice when you find the move and you can play or think like the masters back in the day. This game was played all the way back in 1895. And here, Langleben plays queen b4, attacking this knight. And again, steadily putting up the pressure and increasing the attacking flows. We're attacking this knight and we're threatening potentially queen a3 check on this king. Right, so it's just gradually getting your pieces more and more active, more and more threatening on the opponent's pieces. That's a really good key for attacking chess. Now, the white pieces go on with king b2 to defend this knight. Again, a king move is not an old theme for this game. This has happened earlier in the game when we defended the g7 pawn with our castling. Though now it's a big blunder. The white pieces have an astounding move here. Pause the video to solve the problem. Problem of the day. Let's see what we get today. And when I saw this move, I can tell you, I wish I had a camera on my eyes because I was shocked to my core. In this position, the black pieces played the astounding move, queen a3 check. Sacrificing the queen, and I really don't have that many moves. You pretty much have to take this queen. If you don't, it's kind of silly. Like, I'm just letting you attack, letting you in my house, take my food, everything. But yeah, if king goes back to b1, here we have a really striking combination. Pause the video to solve. Here it is knight takes b3, sacrificing a knight, but not only that, we're sacrificing a rook again. And here, if you decline this sacrifice, we have checkmate, so you're pretty much forced to take back with the a pawn. And now queen takes b3, and this comes with a little bonus. I love little bonus material. Here, if the king goes to a1, it doesn't really matter. We have queen takes c3 with check. And if the king goes to c1, we have queen takes c3 with check. So you cannot get a bailout out of this next check and taking this knight, forcing this king back to b1, and here we have the beautiful quiet, silent killer, bishop d7, threatening this rook b8 check and mating net on this king. It's really, really beautiful. The white pieces are so out of play here, have absolutely nothing against rook b8 coming in. You can even try to play bishop b5 to try to stop this file from being opened, but I have queen b3, king c1, and now rook c8 because the c file is open, and this is just losing, let me tell you. Rook c2 check, king here, and now queen e3 check. And here, either you go to f1 and it's checkmate, or you cover and it's checkmate on e2. And if the king went to a1, we have queen takes c3 check, king a2, and this time, okay, the king is refugee on this blocked a file. We have queen a3 check, forcing the king back to b1, and here we simply have the bishop d7 idea recycled. If the king goes to a1, we have knight takes b3, c takes, rook takes. You cannot take with the a pawn because it is pinned to the king. And now we're threatening mate on b2. So the white pieces don't have time to defend this knight. They have to play rook b1, defending b2 square. And now we take on c3, attacking this bishop. Now, if you defend this bishop, that's okay, you can do that. I'm taking it anyways. And if you move this bishop, you can't, okay? I have rook c2 and you cannot defend this checkmate here. So the best way to give this bishop is to go queen g3 and then queen e1 resource to, okay, try to stop as much as possible this attack, but it's really too late. The black pieces simply have too much compensation, too many ideas, too many plans, and such a winning attack to not win this. So let's go back to this queen sack. Here the white pieces, thank God, because this made this game the most fire game ever. King takes a3, and now the madness commences. The black pieces started off with a discovery check, knight takes d3, check by this bishop on e7. And I love this initially because the king is sort of in a mating net. It cannot go back to its safe zone here on b2 because of this knight. And it cannot go, well, to b4, forget it. It's taken up by 3 pieces. So it's encouraged to go to a4 or b4 here and block this diagonal check. If you go to a4, I have mate in 2 with knight b2. Ah, such a beautiful bishop is highlighted here. And the combination between these 2 pieces, bishop and knight, is astounding. King up and bishop b4 checkmate. So pretty. So pretty, Brody. This is crazy pretty. Like, this is insanely pretty. It's a forking checkmate. Wow. Crazy. So the white pieces in the game, seeing this as both players are pretty good, played b4, blocking this check. And now comes one of the most patient moves I've ever seen in my life. The black pieces, as if you're not already a queen down, goes rook takes b4. Why would you do this? And there's a really good reason. You're threatening discoveries from around the globe 365, 24/7, while sacrificing a knight on d3. And so here, you are basically sacrificing this knight in order to have a discovered check the next turn. So after white took this knight, we have rook b1 check by this bishop, and now this discovery works. In other words, this lane is completely free of any traffic and the cars can move forward. And similar to the match of the century between Bobby Fischer, who was 13 years old at that time, and Donald Byrne, the same or even maybe better pattern occurs here. The black pieces go on to have a double bishop mating attack on this king, also known as Greco's mate. And here the follow-up to this king march, you want to keep the king coming up towards you because you have more pieces towards your zone. That's why king hunts are so favorable for the enemy who is creating that king hunt, because the farther the king is out of their zone, the closer it is to your pieces and the easier it is to checkmate that king. And so here we play bishop d7, check on the king, forcing the king to go nothing but up the board. After king a5, we go on with bishop d8 check. And here we're just continuing this pattern, right? Taking up that a4 square and checking the king. The king must move up, checking the king, and taking up the a5 square. This Langleben did their puzzles. After king a7, Here we have bishop b6 check, switching the king over like a merry-go-round. And the king here is in a mating net in a sea of bishops. Bishop taking up here, bishop checking, and the king is forced once again up the board. And in this position, we finish this incredible mating attack with a discovered double bishop checkmate, which is bishop a6 discovered checkmate. And it's crazy to think that this move at the beginning of the game, castling the king, putting the king to safety, would ultimately contribute to putting this rook on the winning rank of the game. I hope you enjoyed this crazy game by Salomon Langleben, a Polish chess master who has been long forgotten. Thank you so much for watching The Chess Nerd. Have an amazing day and see you next time. I also wanted to take this moment to thank you so much for 70,000 subscribers. When I started this channel 4 years ago, this wasn't even close to being a thought. So the fact that we have 70,000 strong is crazy to me. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You at home watching, supporting, and cheering me on as well. Thank you so much.